We're just going to take you live now to a press conference where Boris Nadezhdin, who's the only presidential hopeful to oppose the war in Ukraine, says he's been blocked for running for election. That's in Moscow now. We'll just listen in for a little bit. We don't have a translation for that, but that's the scene live at the moment in Moscow. So let's find out a little bit more about this. We've got our correspondent, Danny Eberhard, who's in the newsroom. Danny, just explain the context to this.
Well, basically, Boris Nadezhdin was the only anti-war candidate standing or trying to stand against President Putin in the elections next month. He has been disqualified by the Central Electoral Commission. This was a widely expected move by the electoral authorities. They ruled that of the signatures that he submitted last week, he submitted 105,000 signatures, which were more than the required amount, but they've ruled that a percentage of those were invalid. It takes him below the 100,000 mark, and they say he will not be on the ballot. He says that he is going to appeal against the Supreme Court, but Lakshmi, I don't think he's under any illusion as to his chances with that. Most people think they're close, next to zero.
And what we're seeing now, Danny, what people watching are seeing is him giving a press conference live in Moscow. What's the reaction likely to be more widely in the country?
Well, he got lots of queues of people in cities and towns across Russia, queuing often in the snow to sign his candidacy application. And he was seen basically as a way of expressing dissatisfaction about President Putin. He himself has been quite outspoken about the war in Ukraine. He doesn't call it a war. He tries to stay within the bounds of Russia's draconian censorship rules and refers to it in the Kremlin speak as special military operation. But he said that he would stop the fighting in Ukraine on his first day if he were elected. And he also says that although he hopes that the election wouldn't be the end of Putin's rule in Russia, it would mark at least the beginning of the end. So he was quite outspoken. Unlike some of the other candidates who are already registered, there are a handful of people already who will be on the ballot. Most people believe that these are candidates who have been given tacit approval by the Kremlin. They're not seen as people likely to challenge Vladimir Putin in any way. So it gives the whole election a figment of legitimacy, really. Russia is very much a managed democracy, or some people have less polite terms of referring to it. So there was no doubt that President Putin, barring something unforeseen, will win in the middle of March. He has already ruled Russia for coming up to 25 years, and he can, under the current constitution, stay in power until 2036.
Danny, thank you for bringing analysis on that breaking news there. That's Danny Eberhard, our World Service Europe regional editor.